Hi there, welcome. I'm Tom. Welcome to Tom's Grinder Lab. This is a review of the Chiato Hoop. Easy, superb filter clarity every single time. I'm calling this the bumblebee of filter coffee because really there are so many things about this that means it simply shouldn't fly as a filter coffee maker, and yet it does. This is the beast in question, Chiato Hoop coffee brewer. It's about as simple as you could possibly find, and I think what I'm going to do is show you how it works first. So you get concept and context for the comments I make. Please be sure to subscribe and like. That's how I can grow the channel and bring you more content. But let me give you a summary, and as I said, I'll include in the summary the fundamentals of how this little brewer works. Then we'll go on to key specs and features in the Grinder Lab. We'll have a look in action, what I like, what I don't like, or the limitations of it, and who I think this is best for. So let's kick off with the summary as usual up front. I think this thing is fabulous. You don't have to scroll to the end of the video to figure that out. This is how it works. You can see there's an outer, what's called an outer loop here, and there's the flow tower which screws into that outer loop. But before you screw it in, you put a filter paper on the bottom. And I've got one here that I can show you. It's actually all ready to go. So this is going to go on top. I use a Kinto jug. I'll give you a link for that underneath. But there's the filter paper, which is where the coffee goes in here. So if I unscrew this, you'll see filter paper, bang, and that's going to go in the hole down there, in the hole down there, and then you're just going to screw this in. So that's the visual. And I think that's important so you know exactly how the thing works. If you have a closer look at these holes here, let me zoom it out a bit for you, then you'll see there's a whole series of them around here. It's a little bit hard to see, but a whole series of holes. So what's happening therefore is coffee goes in here, water goes in the outside moat, if you like, and then the brewing process begins automatically. So having a look at this again, just in context, you can see all the holes around here, filter paper going in the bottom, and there's a slightly closer up look. Taking some screenshots off the Chiato website just demonstrates how you're going to pour the ground coffee in there. Start with about the same size as your normal pour over. I'll give you a benchmark in a moment, and you can see that the water is being poured in that outside area. You do not pour the water straight in there unless you like straight in the middle, unless you like me once that just woke up all groggy and had my first coffee and it was a disaster. So don't do that. All right, so let me give you some key specs. Zero bypass, unlike say a lot of V60s where you can get some bypass. It is ultra consistent clarity. It's a beginner's dream. And the story is that Chiato, who create consistently high quality commercial and some domestic grinders, are superb quality. An engineer wanted something that was faff-free and very simple, so his grandmother could make nice filter coffee without any flapping around. He really wanted her to experience filter coffee at his best, and he came up with this concept, and I think he's a freaking genius and should be awarded whatever France's highest medal of honor. I think Chiato is a French company. So it's very, very simple, but normally when you get something that's simple and easy in workflow, there's a compromise in the cup, but not with this. In my view, this is more consistent than any V60 that I've used. It's more consistent than the next-gen Pulsar. And when I say consistent, I'm talking about high clarity consistency. It's easy to get a consistently dull filter coffee, but this is high clarity consistency. The only other thing that got close to this in terms of being just delicious, tasty filter coffee in the cup was the Filter 3 created by Scott Rao to be used in conjunction with the Decent DE1, which has flow control. Now, that's a $5,000 machine, plus a little bit extra for Scott's basket. This, by contrast, is a really tiny fraction of the price. I'll go into pricing in a moment, but I think around $35 euros or something like that, $50 Australian, something like that. So simple, easy workflow, consistent, ultra clarity all the time. Use a normal kitchen kettle. You don't have to use a V60 gooseneck kettle. It's small, it's lightweight, it's travel friendly, it's virtually indestructible. Probably if you run over it with a car, you'd still be able to use it to just bend back into shape. Well, here we go, pricing. At the moment, US around 45, Euro 30, and Australian $50. So really very, very economical. So Simple, economical, and ultra consistent clarity, tasty in the cup every time. If you've got the right beans, this thing is going to make them shine. Key specs, 168 grams, so very light, BPA-free plastic, rated safe for boiling water, which you would hope so. 4-minute pour time, give you the benchmark in a moment, how many grams in, etc. Use water that's just off boil. I have tested this, so what I do is I boil the kettle, just a regular kitchen kettle, you'll see it in use in a moment, and by the time it stops boiling and I take it off and I'm pouring it into the hoop, it's going to drop probably, I would say, a good 4 to 5 degrees before it hits the coffee puck. So if you're aiming for a 96 degrees Celsius water temperature, get it just off boil, and that's about right. So I've tested this a lot and I'm really confident. Boil, lift it up, bang, pour, done. All right, so no having to faff around with temperature controlled kettles, gooseneck kettles, etc. Go to scottrao.com and that's where you'll find his specially developed faster filter paper, which means you can grind finer and you're going to get more taste out of the filter. So Chiato, I should say, do their own filter paper, which will come as packed. But I bought mine, couple actually, from Scott's website there, scottrao.com. And while you're there, you can get this filter paper, 62 millimeter, which is his faster flow. And that I think is a significant bump up in terms of the taste and the flavor that's coming through, the clarity of the notes, etc. It's currently my daily filter grinder. I have replaced the filter 3 on the decent DE1 espresso machine that I was using for this, which was previously my grand champion. This thing is a little simpler. I don't need a $5,000 US espresso machine to do it. And it's, as I said, just top class, consistent. I don't know why anyone would ever use anything else having used this, other than some people do like the ritual of the V60, and I totally get that. And also, you might not like the look of it. So perhaps the ritual, perhaps the visual appeal, that might keep you on your V60, and more power to you. But if you want clarity, if you want consistency, if you want faff-free, simple, easy, this is absolutely the go. And by the way, I paid for this with my hard-earned. I don't get any commissions or affiliates or anything like that. More the pity for this. I'm just endorsing it because I think it's simply fabulous. Oh, well. It's also now my choice for coffee travel kit. So I'm using this on a daily basis. Really super easy to blind taste compare, because you get 2 of these, 2 different beans or 2 different grinders, and you can blind taste compare. There is in my Guide to Great Espresso playlist series, there is a guide to blind taste testing, and you can always email me, Tom at can't remember my own email address, Tom at tomsgrinderlab.com, if you want a heads up on that. All right, so let's have a look at it in the Grinder Lab. I've got a little video I put together for you here. As always, a shout out to Monastery.coffee, who do superb light roast coffee beans for filter coffee, and sometimes for espresso as well. You can use them for espresso, of course, but I get all my filter coffee beans from them. They're kind enough to sponsor this channel by sending me a whole kilo each month, and trust me, I consume them. So let's go into the Grinder Lab. Here is the setup. So 22 grams of beans going in. There's the hoop. I've sped this up a little bit. Boiling the kettle. I ground it on the VS6. Poured the coffee into the center. I've got a little Kinto jug. I'll put a link under the video for that. Hopefully I remember. Getting the kettle to boil. Just indicating you want it to boil. And all set, ready to go. The sticker does not go on there. That's mine. And I'm pouring it quite swiftly. Scott Rao actually recommends you pour it a bit slower. I haven't found it made a big difference. If you want to just disturb the crust, I just use the end of a teaspoon. You can use a puck rake or something like that. But really, you don't really need to bother, to be honest with you. It's just so simple. And you see it starting to pour down here if you've got super fast eyes. And you're looking for 4 minutes. And what I do is you might have noticed, I fill that up right to the brim. Scott's recipe is for, I think, 365 to 370 ml water. But I found that by using 22 grams of coffee in and filling it to the brim, it's really easy to know when to stop pouring, because, well, it just overflows the side. And that's it. You wait 4 minutes. If you're getting 3.5 minutes, it's going through 3.5 minutes. Grind a little finer. Grind a little coarser. If it's taking 4.5 minutes, then obviously grind a little finer. But we're not done yet. We're going to make it even more flavorsome by taking it from the jug and putting it into a nano foamer Pro. Now, I was using one of their little magic wand foamers, but this is so much better than the jug. And I just fill it up to the maximum on the inside of the jug, pop the lid on, and then go to the setting which is past 5, it's 0 or whatever. And this is the cold foaming setting. So if you wanted to foam some milk cold, you would use this setting. I use it for all my filter coffee now. This is sped up 4 times, but it doesn't take long. And then if you have a look at what coming out, you'll see it's very aerated, and that's the thing. You're aerating your coffee, and that brings out more flavor notes. Looks like a beer, doesn't it? But it's not, I assure you. Now, this is important. Once you've finished, you've rinsed it out, what you want to do is make sure, get all the coffee out, make sure it's nice and tight. But then what you want to do is pour some water in and make sure all these holes here are free, because you will get the odd coffee ground in there and you don't want it blocked for the next time. So just do that little rinse afterwards and you'll be right in terms of the next time. You're unscrewing it, give it a dry, and then you pop your next filter paper in, ready to go for the next time. And that's it in the grind lab. It's really as simple as that. So what do I like about this? It's like, what don't I like about this? And I've mentioned a lot of these already, but just let me sum up. Consistent clarity every single time. Really, with the V60 or something like that, I'd have to try hard to get clarity consistently. I think with the Chiato Hoop, you'd have to try hard not to get clarity. That's the difference. To me, night and day difference. With V60, I would get a coffee once a week where I thought, oh my God, I just wish I could do that every single time. And with this, and especially when you put it through an aerator like the Nanofoamer Pro on the cold aeration, it really, really, really shines. Even without that, it's still consistently clear every single time. But with it, it's a world beater. Workflow, simple, easy, fat-free, no timer, no valve, no gooseneck kettle. It just doesn't get any simpler. The price, as I said, super economical, very compact, travel-friendly, and I would say, virtually indestructible unless you go out of your way to blow it up or take a blowtorch to it or something like that. What don't I like about it? Well, here's the full list. Yep, that's it. That's the full list. James Hoffman did a brilliant review of this, as everything James does seems to be brilliant. And what he pointed out is if you have a jug where the handle comes off the lip, then that's not going to sit on it. That's going to, that's going to wobble around a bit. To me, I almost think James, perfectionist that he is, tried to find something he could fault. He really does endorse this and recommend it. But make sure you check out his channel. I've tried to remember to put a link below the video so you can look at his review as well. But that is a Kinto jug, K-I-N-T-O. It's the smaller of the 2 varieties. I think it's a 350 ml jug, and it works a charm because that handle is just a little bit below the top rim. So that's what I use, the little Kinto jug. I do have a larger Kinto jug, which I use for tea, bulk tea, but that's it. So who's it best for? Well, it's for you if you want consistent clarity, if you want those fruity notes shining through, you want more flavor, more taste sensation, this is an absolute winner. Faff-free freaks like me appreciate the fact that you don't have to faff around, especially for travel-friendly filtered coffee. Personally, I use it as my daily driver for filtered coffee. Sometimes twice a day. I also use it for travel. And that is it. A wonderful little thing, inexpensive. I mean, it's hard to fault this thing because it's inexpensive, it's fat-free, and it produces, best of all, it produces the consistent, tasty, clear filter coffee that I personally crave. Whew. So that's it. Tom's Grind Lab. Make sure you get over to www. Download my espresso troubleshooting and optimization guide. And yeah, share it with your friends. Make the world go round. Cheers.